Hey everyone, just warning you now, this is quite a big video. I think there's a bit of something in here for everyone, but in case something doesn't interest you, I will try to add useful chapter markers for you to skip around with. But first, the most important part. The debate on what Udio means. Some say it's audio without the A. Others think it's short for studio. Or maybe it's both. Audio studio. Nah. I believe I sussed things out and Phil Collins got it right. Sorry about that, but not really. Before I get started, while I was editing this video, Udio announced their subscriptions and how that changes things for the free tier. These changes went into effect immediately. According to their pricing page, the starting package of $10 a month will give you almost the exact same thing as the free tier was before this announcement. Now, for free, you only get 100 monthly generations and an additional 10 daily that do not roll over. So use the 100 that month and the 10 each day, or you lose them. Considering the quality of the product, I think $10 a month is a great deal still. Obviously, it's not the same as free, but it's still nice. Anyway, I just wanted to say that now so that some of the things you see and hear me say later in the video are a bit different. And back to the show. In case you don't know this already, Udio is amazing. And I have to say, the music industry, once again, is really in trouble. I'm talking Napster, LimeWire, Kazaa, and Morpheus combined kind of trouble. Sorry to the Gen Z and Alphas that don't understand that. Look it up. But seriously, Udio is crazy good at creating music, and there have been countless videos already made to pronounce its AI music creation dominance, though realistically, Suno is right there too. Do I truly think that the music industry is in trouble? Absolutely. Is it dead? No. I think musicians need to embrace new technologies and use them as tools. Concerts are still one of the main forms of live entertainment, and that's not going away anytime soon. So instead of singing its praises, or creating a song with Udio that sings its praises, like so many have done, I'm going to show you how it works and how to create your own songs from soup to nuts, or stem to stern, head to toe, alpha to omega, pillar to post, cradle to grave, womb to tomb. Okay, I'm done. Many people are using it to create some hilarious music that, although they sound great, are just a good laugh and tend to be short little ditties. But what if you have a specific idea in mind that you want to create? It can take quite a bit of work to get exactly what you want out of Udio, just like you can make some amazing images with Midjourney. But if you already have a very specific idea in your mind and what you want the image to look like, it's going to be difficult to prompt it to create that exact image. Music is going to be the same way, but sometimes you can get something better than you'd imagined.
It's bigger than you expected?
Before I go on, let's open up Udio with your Brave browser. Other options are inferior or just plain unsafe. Go to udio.com and you can easily sign in with Google, Discord, or X/Twitter. As always, I'd recommend against Google, as they are just the worst for making you the product. And yes, I understand the irony that this is a YouTube video. Currently, while Udio is in beta, you get a ton of credits. You are allowed 600 generations per month. Each generation consists of 2 outputs, so you're actually getting up to 1,200 songs, or at least parts of songs, per month. That's kind of insane. I thought I'd use this a lot, but as of recording this audio, I've only used 92 of the 600, or 184 of the 1,200, depending on how you look at it. That's over 100 minutes of musical bliss. So that being said, have fun with it and create a ton to get what you want. Try and retry over and over. Now that you know the current limits of available generations, you need to figure out what route you're going to go. Decide if you just want a quick short song or a full length one, or even an epic length meatloaf or iron butterfly masterpiece. Just know that 15 minutes is the newly announced maximum length. You have 3 options at this point for lyrics. Well, 4, but 3 ways for how to use them in Udio. You can use Udio's auto-generated lyrics that will base them off of your prompt. You can have only instrumental, so without vocals, or you can use your own custom lyrics. And it's because you can either write them yourself or you can use something like ChatGPT or Claude to create them for you. Unless it's not all that important and you're just messing around, I'm going to recommend against using the auto-generated lyrics. The reason being that it's doing the same thing as Claude and ChatGPT, except your prompt here includes not only what you want the song to be about, but also the information you gave it for the type and style of music you want it to be. So the AI at this point can't tell what is the song and what is the style, and will add the style information into the lyrics sometimes. You want a folk song, and therefore the lyrics will add in something literally mentioning folk music. Not to say you can't get good results from the auto-generated lyrics, but you just might have a better chance with Claude or ChatGPT. Instrumental is pretty obvious what it does, and it works great, but we'll take a look at that a bit later. Custom is what we're going to work with the most here. Now, I'm not exactly Roger Waters or David Gilmour, so I'm not going to attempt to write my own lyrics at this point. So instead, I'm going to open up Claude. Currently, I think Claude's free option is better than ChatGPT's free option, but you do you. In here, you can literally do whatever you want to create lyrics, as long as it's not going to be one of those things that get censored. Simply start out asking it to create lyrics for a song about, and fill in the blank. Be as specific as possible if you want specifics to show up within the lyrics, or be as vague as you want, and let Skynet decide for you. So I'm going to start out with what I mentioned before. So create lyrics for a song about. And then I'm just going to put in the rest here. I'll let you read it yourself. And let's see what we get. Now with a simple prompt, you're going to usually get some pretty basic rhyming lyrics. I like to play with the lyrics at this point by either asking for things to be rewritten, but point out which lines I like, or say that it's great, but could you do that in the style of Pink Floyd or Hall & Oates or James Taylor? Depending on which artist you choose, you will get dramatically different outputs. And even though in the end you might want a heavy metal or disco style song, sometimes Joni Mitchell style lyrics could work perfectly for those styles once Udio takes a hold of them. Something else I should have mentioned that can help a lot with your original prompt is to give the song a title if you have one in mind. This will help guide the song lyrics you get quite a bit and will most likely pop up in the chorus. So I'm going to try one more time with my prompt and see what I get with the title. This should change up the lyrics quite a bit. One thing to know about how Udio works is that each generation you create is 33 seconds. And Udio recommends 6 lines or somewhere between 200 and 350 characters for that. So it's probably a good idea to prompt for that when creating the lyrics. If you already put in your prompt and tried it, you can just respond with, try again, but use 6-line verses. Not sure why it's doing it, but it's putting random spaces between lines, but that's something we can always fix later. And that should give you new lyrics with 6 lines per verse. That's per verse, not per verse.
Minors, not minors.
You lost me.
Or you can do the same with 200 to 350 characters instead of 6-line verses. And of course, you can combine that with a change of artist or songwriter too. So I'll try this. Try again, but use 6-line verses as if written by Keaton Henson. This isn't a Claude tutorial, so I'm going to assume that's enough to get you started with your own lyrics. Once you're happy with the lyrics, you may need to reformat them for best results in Udio. Either way, it's best to copy and paste them into a text file of some sort and work on them there. One thing that needs to be done is to make sure that all of the headers for where the verses and chorus and bridges start are labeled as such within brackets like this. There are many other things you can add within the lyrics to control what you get out of Udio, such as guitar solo, sax solo, or any type of instrumental solo. There are countless things you can add to the brackets, including to the chorus and verse, where you can add whether you want a male or female vocalist or a choir. Another thing you can add at this point are to add backup vocals within parentheses, either as separate verse lines or at the end or within a line. I ended up going back and trying again with Claude with the title Fork in the Road, as this time I had written the chorus myself and wanted it to be based more on that. So here's what it looked like in Claude. Both the prompt I gave it and the lyrics it gave back. On the left, you can see these lyrics that I ended up using as the bass. But you can see the lyrics are almost unrecognizable to the new ones on the right after I played around with them a lot. And I still have yet to know how any of it's even going to sound. To get started with using these lyrics, copy the first verse and go back into Udio. Be sure that you copied the part that's within the brackets where it says verse 1. If it's not open already, click open any part of the box above to open it up. Click on the custom option for lyrics, and then paste the lyrics into the box that appears below it. You will not be allowed to post more than 350 characters, but that shouldn't be a problem, as if you hit 350, your lyrics are probably too long to sing in such a short period of time. With your lyrics all ready to go, you just need a prompt. Because it's that simple. Well, it is, until you realize that the options are endless. Though I'll give you some options here. In the end, just play around with it.
That's what she said.
No matter what you put in there, your generations are going to be vastly different every time. The first option is that you already know exactly what kind of sound you want, what style, etc. So go ahead and put in male vocalist, 80s hair metal, guitar solo, anthem chorus, and more cowbell, or whatever you have planned. Honestly, I'm kind of interested to see how that would turn out. The next option is to look at the tag options just below and choose one or multiple of those. The third option is to just roll the dice. Yep, that actually is a pair of die that you can click on, and it will give you a random prompt that you can try out. Keep clicking on it to get more and more random ideas. Some are interesting, and some are ridiculous. But these also can be a starting point to give you an idea, and then add more to it yourself. Before I get to the last option, there's one thing you should know. You cannot put in copyrighted names. In other words, you can't say you want a song to sound like Pink Floyd or Dr. Dre. Well, you can, but it won't actually put them into the prompt. Here, let me show you an example of what actually happens instead. I'm not going to use my lyrics for this, so I'm just going to go with the auto-generated. And then what I'll do is I'll start with their random dice prompt and then add a mashup of The Doors and Enigma. I'm going to take out punk though, because that would kind of contradict the two groups I'm adding to this. So in order to see the actual problem, I actually have to create. So I'm going to hit create now, and you'll see what comes up here. Of course it worked that time. Oh, there we go. Apparently it didn't catch Enigma on that one, but I guess sometimes it'll go through. Who knows? And you can see here in the actual song that although it didn't tell us when we were making it that Enigma was being replaced, that nowhere in the prompt now does it actually say Enigma. So it took out both Enigma and The Doors and replaced them. So what can you do instead of that? Back to Claude or ChatGPT or whatever. Now really you can just ask this in any way you want, word it any way you want. For instance, I want to create a prompt for an AI music generator that sounds like Pearl Jam. Make a response less than 700 characters and have it in prompt format with full sentences. Do not mention the band name. You can switch out a band name for an individual singer or a specific song, but maybe be specific about what song by also mentioning the artist. So, sounds like Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and then change the do not mention part from band name to artist name or song and artist name or whatever. If you want to try another or just don't like the output of that specific one, all you have to say is how about, and then again, the artist and or song. Now just copy the response and paste that into the prompt. Edit anything out of it that you think is pointless. It can be a bit redundant sometimes, or it might have put in some words that you specifically don't want to be part of the final style of your song. With your lyrics and your prompt input, you're ready to create your first generation. All there is to do now is hit the create button in the top right. I'd recommend hitting the create button once or twice more as soon as it's available, as most likely you will not get exactly what you want the first time, or the second, or the third, or the 37th. And having the more different outputs at the start will give you a better idea of what you may need to fix or update in your prompt or even in your lyrics. Maybe a specific tag you put in is having more of an effect than you'd like it to. Or maybe you think that the chorus could use some backup vocals in a certain spot. Either way, you may need to create many more generations before getting even just the voice you like, let alone the voice and the music working together. There's going to be a ton of trial and error to get exactly what you want. Or just be ready for some compromise. While you're making all these generations, I recommend hitting the heart, which is the like button, for any of the generations that you actually really like and may consider using. And for the ones you definitely do not want, delete them. Organization can be a huge pain when you end up having a ton of generations, and it will only get worse when you start extending the song or music. You also have the option to click on the individual track's title, and then edit the title and the track image. I'm not going to bother showing you every single generation that I do, as I don't want to bore the heck out of you. So I'll skip ahead to where I finally get the 33 seconds that I like. And as you can see here, a bunch of the generations have the green box around it. If it has the green box around it, that means those are new and you have not listened to them yet. Once you listen to it, the green box goes away.
A few moments later.
Almost 40 generations later, I think I got one that I like, and I'm interested in knowing where it goes with the rest of the lyrics. Let me play it for you, and you can tell me how bad it is in the comments below.
We were just two kids from the poorest side of town. We had nothing but what we had in each other. Together we dreamed of so much more. More than this struggle, more than this strife. I promised myself one day I'd give her the perfect life.
It's not perfect, but I like that it was interesting compared to the rest of the many other generations I listened to. And by interesting, I mean that it was a bit more dynamic. It wasn't just a dude reading the lyrics with constant similar music. Instead, the music went different places and was a bit unexpected, and so was the singer. I think I might have preferred a bit better of a voice, but I think this will work well enough. This is where it gets really interesting now. And this is why there was so much preparation as there was. Let's go back to our lyrics and grab the next section, which for me is the first chorus. My chorus does have a small change each time, so I have to make sure I grab the correct one. Once you've copied the chorus, or whatever second section of lyrics you have, instead of going up to the top of the Udio page, go to where your clip is that you like the most and want to continue working with. You can stay here on the individual clips page, or you can go back to your generations page at this point. It's up to you. Either way, now it's time to hit the extend button for this clip. The drop down should look the same as before, but with a few additions. The important part that we're going to be using now is across the middle of it. You now have add intro before, add section before, add section after, and add outro after. At this point, I'm sure we're all going to be using the add section after, unless you want a really short song. But the four options should all be pretty obvious in their function. Add intro is to add, well, an intro to your song. It can have lyrics or it can be just instrumental. But this is something I like to add after I've done everything else. But you will most likely want to add it as the first section you created has a very abrupt start with the singing, sometimes within the first second. It would be nice if you could choose a shorter length for the intro, probably something for the near future. The add section before is most likely the least used of these four options. I guess if you decide you wanted to start the song out differently, but also like what you already had, or if you just wanted to work backwards for some odd reason. The add outro should be self-explanatory after I mention what the add intro does. Well, guess what? It adds an ending to your song. Usually has a good wind down or crescendo of some sort. Kind of depends on the song you're creating and how the rest of the sections are going. We'll see what happens when we get there. But for now, time to add more sections after. If you need me to explain what add section after does after that. Anyway, so we copied the chorus like 20 minutes ago, or whatever the second section is that you have. So now go ahead and paste that into the lyrics. The other thing that can be done at this point is to change the prompt. I have zero plans to do so unless something drastically changes along the way that I need to affect somehow. But at some point, you may want to change the progression of the song, make it more or less energetic, or add or subtract types of instruments. Sky is really the limit. Now it's the same as before, but instead of hitting the create button, you hit the extend button that's taken its place. And again, go ahead and hit it multiple times, and then probably more after that, until you get what you like. Your generations from this will be double the length now, and so that you don't have to listen to so much to figure out which ones you like, at the bottom of the screen when it's playing, you can just move the slider on the bar close to the middle, or to wherever you want to start from. Time for me to do my generations and see how many I have to do this time. Hopefully not too many in comparison, as the voice and style are now pretty much set, compared to before. Though I did quite a few more, my favorite extension ended up being from the first 6 extensions that I did. Once you've done your first extension, it's really just doing the same thing over and over until you've finished all of your verses, choruses, bridges, and whatever else you might have. Only make sure you leave the outro if you have one of those. But for now, just continue adding those with extensions. Remember that there are other things that you can try while generating these extensions, instead of just trying the exact same thing over and over. Maybe you want to add background vocals or a different instrument or whatever to a specific part that you're working on. Try it out, or bring the tone down, so change things up if you want. Experiment, have fun. I'll see you once we've both finished all of our extensions. Hopefully everything goes well and we can work on the outro and the intro next. Alright, a few extensions and countless generations later, I'm happy with what I have. Hopefully you are, or will be with yours too. Here's what I've got so far, but feel free to skip it if you aren't interested. How could you not be interested?
We were just 2 kids from the poorest side of town. We had nothing but what we had in each other. Together we dreamed of so much more. More than this struggle, more than this strife. I promised myself one day I'd give her the perfect life. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Standing at the fork in the road, my decision seemed so clear. I left our rundown town, the only life I'd known, to chase my ambitions to make her a queen. Many years had passed through blood, sweat, and tears. I found the world, now a man of means. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. At the fork in the road, I had seemed so sure, no more. Prosperous and privileged after so many years, seeking my love to embrace her in tears, and there she stood, love in her eyes. It wasn't me she saw, but another in my stead. I'd been gone too long, forgotten, replaced. begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. At the fork in the road, oh, what have I done? What have I done? Dear God, oh, what have I done?
Now to get to the outro, which will drastically clean up that abrupt end to the extensions. If you have lyrics for it, the simplest thing to do is the same as any extension, but obviously choose the Add Outro instead of the Add Section button. I'd just try that out and see how well it works for you. If you don't have lyrics for an outro, make sure you modify your prompt to get rid of anything that mentions vocals in any way. Otherwise, Udio has a good chance of making up lyrics for you. Though it will try to stay in the same subject as your lyrics, I wouldn't rely on that. But feel free to try and see how it works out. The other thing to try, regardless of lyrics or not, is to maybe get rid of certain things. Maybe get rid of drums or guitar or whatever to have the wind down. It might work on its own without doing that, but if it doesn't, you're going to need to modify the prompt a bit. You can even just completely delete the prompt and add in the few things you know that you want. So give it a whirl, and maybe a few more. Outro generation time. That one was kind of a pain. I wanted to go into just an acoustic guitar and piano towards the end, and I think out of about 24 generations, it only worked maybe twice. I switched my prompt so that it only said acoustic guitar, piano, strong male vocals, wind down. That wasn't working, so I even added acoustic guitar and piano into the lyrics within the outro brackets. And then I tried a couple more times and figured out that the way to do it is to have their own separate brackets within the lyrics after the outro brackets. This ended up working pretty well. Not perfect, but pretty well. Either way, one last thing to do now if you're all set. Intro time. This is where I set it to instrumental and then get rid of almost everything in the prompt. But considering what I already did for the outro, I'll probably keep it the same except for getting rid of the part about vocals, and obviously I don't need it to be a wind down since it's actually more of a wind up. If I end up still getting vocals, I'll go back to lyrics, but then not put in any lyrics and put in only instruments to play. Home stretch, here we come. And the first option actually seemed to work the best. I just had the prompt of acoustic guitar, piano, nothing else. And then had it set to instrumental, and I got some good results with that. I then figured I'd try it the other way by switching it to lyrics, and then only having the instruments I wanted in brackets with no actual lyrics. I didn't get any singing, but I also didn't get the instruments I wanted. Kind of odd. But then I wanted to hear a mandolin, and that didn't seem to work at all. Then I figured I would really try to push it, so I put in the prompt mandolin, 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 piano, acoustic guitar. Still no mandolin, but for some reason I got a very pleasant violin. Here's what that sounded like. Though I actually like that one, I think I'm going to go with one of my first ones that actually had the acoustic guitar that almost sounded like a mandolin. Here's the full song. Feel free to skip it if you like. I'll be talking about publishing and a couple other things after the song ends.
We're just two kids from the poorest side of town. We had nothing but what we had in each other. Together we dreamed of so much more. More than this struggle, more than this strife. I promised myself one day I'd give her the perfect life. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Standing at the fork in the road, my decision seems so clear. I left our rundown town, the only life I'd known, to chase my ambitions to make her a queen. Many years had passed through blood, sweat, and tears. I found the world, now a man of means. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. At the fork in the road, I had seemed so sure, no more. Prosperous and privileged after so many years, seeking my love to embrace her in tears, and there she stood, love in her eyes. It wasn't me she saw, but another in my stead. I'd been gone too long, forgotten, replaced. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. At the fork in the road, oh, what have I done? What have I done? Dear God, oh, what have I done? The family we dreamed of, the life we had planned. She had it, I didn't, and now never would.
Hopefully your song is completed now, and you like how it turned out. And hopefully you had fun making it, and will continue to do more. Now you don't need to do this part, but I'm going to first go to that clip's page by clicking on the title. On this page, I'm going to hit the edit button first. I'm going to rename it to the title of the song. And while I'm here, I'm going to give it a new cover image instead of the generic one it gives you. This way it'll stand out more. Just click on the image that should say Edit Image on top of it. This will bring up a window to generate your own AI image to replace it. No, you cannot bring in your own images, sadly. It will already have your song prompt put in if you want to just use that. It will give you three options. Either choose one or try again. Or choose one and try again. Once you've picked the image you want, just save that and then save again, and you're good to go. Now to get it published. All publishing really does is make it so that it's no longer private and anyone else can see it. If that's what you want, go ahead and publish it. Otherwise, you can still actually download it. All you gotta do is click on this button right here, and that will download it for you. So one thing I would like from you is if you've created a song and you think it's good, share it with me. You'll notice when you mouse over any of the tracks, or if you just go to your track, as I am in this one right now, this number at the back here, which I will show you the entire link so you know what I'm talking about. The number that's at the end there, just post that in the comments, and then it's very easy just to put it into the rest of the URL, and then anyone can look at it. Or I guess I should say listen to it. Hopefully this was more than enough information to get you on your way to making some great music. And hopefully you're still watching at this point. To those that stayed through to the end, I thank you so much for watching. In fact, I'm even going to let you hear the alternative version of Fork in the Road that went a completely different direction with a different prompt. I think I actually like this one better. So take a listen and enjoy. I'd appreciate it while you're listening that you take the time to like and subscribe and leave a comment below, especially leave a comment with your creations below so that I can check them out. Again, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
We were just two kids from the poor side of town. We had nothing but what we had in each other. Together we dreamed of so much more. More than this struggle, more than the strife. I promised myself one day I'd give her the perfect life. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Standing at the fork in the road, my decision seemed so clear. Left our rundown town, the only life I'd known, chased my ambitions to make her a queen. Many years had passed through blood, sweat, and tears. I found the world, now a man of means. She deserved the world, so I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. At the fork in the road, I had seemed so sure, no more prosperous after so many years, seeking my love to embrace her in tears. And there she stood, love in her eyes for someone else. It wasn't me. Now that I'd been gone too long, forgotten and replaced, she deserved the world. So I went there to give it to her. She begged me to stay, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. At the fork in the road, what did I do?
What did I do?
Dear God,
Dear God, what did I do?
Oh, what did I do? The family, ooh, we dreamed of the life that we had planned. She had it, but I didn't. And now I